Both teams set up on a 4-2-3-1. If you look at Barcelona, we had Iñaki Peña in goal, Jules Koundé, Kubarsi, Inigo Martinez, Alejandro Balde, the double pivot of Casado and Pedri. Dani Olmo was 10 behind the striker Lewandowski. We got Yamal and we got Rafinha over here. If you look at Real Betis, we got Vélez, we got Perot, Diego Llorente, Bartra, Sabali, the double pivot of Altamira and Flores, Abde over here, Lo Celso behind the striker, Villa, and Vitor Roque. So first, let's look at how Real Betis defended, because basically they were looking for a transitional counter-attack. And so at times they defended in this 4-2-3-1, which sometimes would become a 4-4-2, and at times it would also shift into a 4-2-2-2. Their main objective was to try to win the ball over here and then do rapid counterattacks. In the first 2 minutes they had a corner because of this counterattack, and it almost ended up in a goal with Rafinha having to clear the ball from the goal line. They used the speed of Vitor Roque and Abde for these very fast counterattacks. When they were in this 4-4-2, what they really wanted to do was when Lewandowski, Olmo, Yamal, Jules Koundé over here. Normally Jules Koundé would play around here, and only when Yamal drops deep, he'd go somewhere around here. But in this game, what Hansi Flick made him do was, he made him charge all the way over here. Alejandro Balde was one of the guys who was also going over here. So the thing was that now Hansi Flick is getting Barcelona slowly, match by match, getting these both fullbacks really high up the pitch over here and making those crosses inside. What Real Betis wanted to do was that stop Barcelona from making these straight line breaking passes over here. And so once they did that, everybody would just squeeze on the player. And so that wasn't really happening. And when it did, the few times it did end up in very good results for Barcelona. But most of the game, this area was blocked, and so everything was happening from the sides and crosses were coming in. But it wasn't really that easy for Barcelona to score, because scoring from crosses doesn't most of the time lead to goal, and Barcelona is not one of those teams that is used to scoring from there. They're mostly the team that likes to play from inside. Barcelona, they also wanted to have 3 players at the back all the time, so that if ever they lose the ball over here and Real Betis go for that counter attack, that rapid transition, what they wanted to do was they wanted to have that extra man at the back, because Real Betis were basically counter-attacking with 2 people, and then these other guys, they would catch up but a bit later. So that fraction of a second, that did make a difference. So Barcelona wanted to have this 3 at the back all the time, and so they did that with one of the midfielders basically dropping deep. What Real Betis used to do was that when Barcelona did a pass back over here to one of these 3 guys, both these guys would press, and then one of the guys from this line of 4 would also come and press these guys. So they were trying to have this sort of an advantage that so have this line over here, bring this up a little bit, and then as soon as Barcelona pass back, they could press a bit higher, and if they win the ball in this area, they could rapidly launch into that counter attack. If we look at it, In the end, Real Betis had a total of 12 shots compared to Barcelona's 9, and they had 6 shots on target, and Barcelona only had 3. And if we look at the shots off target, Real Betis had 6 and Barcelona had 5. So they were basically, going for those quick transitions, and then they were taking shots as fast as possible. But this also gave them an XG of 2.87, whereas Barcelona had an XG of 0.46. Because Real Betis is a possession-based side, they sometimes did create through possession. What they were doing was that once they did have possession, they were trying to create these triangles, so make this sort of a 3 versus a 2 situation. And so if this guy, ended up getting the ball, he would cut in and try to take that shot. During the counterattacks, Iñaki Peña was one of the main reasons Real Betis didn't win this game. He made a lot of saves. And so when Koundé was playing all the way over here, we had Lewandowski come in the attack. We had Rafinha tucking in, because when the ball was here, everybody moved towards this side, and we had the left forward moving in. And then obviously Dani Olmo was also around here, so when Koundé made those cutbacks, Olmo could be the dummy, let Lewandowski get the ball, and Barcelona scored. And that's how they actually ended up scoring their first goal. Abde was also rarely tracking back, and because of that, it was very easy for Real Betis to launch those counterattacks along with Vitor Roque, because Abde and Vitor Roque had a lot of speed. When Koundé didn't move forward, it was Lamine Yamal who was actually making these moves from here, and at that time Koundé would be the guy sort of inverting a little bit, so that if Barcelona lost the ball around here, Real Betis launched this counter-attack, Koundé could press around here, and Barcelona could have that high press, get this sort of an offside trap going towards the middle of the pitch. Yamal also tried to tuck inside. He made some shots himself. If Yamal was tucked inside and Koundé wasn't up here, at times Dani Olmo would also move around here and try to make these crosses to Lewandowski. But then Rafinha would be on the far post. But when that happened, that was usually when Barcelona were moving really, really fast and transitioning themselves. And so at most of those times, Lewandowski was isolated over here. It would have been better if he had another player over here moving alongside him. When we had Balde overlapping, Rafinha would be the guy moving inside, because Hansi Flick likes his forwards being inside in these half spaces over here. And so when he would move inside, Lamine would make that run and Rafinha would try to cross the ball over to him. Most of the time, Betis' defense was easily beaten, but it did not end up in a goal. Dani Olmo would also drop deep. He was a number 10, so like a false 9 role, he would drop deep, try to be part of the build-up, and then from here he would try to play the ball over the top or a through ball if space was available, and Barcelona were trying to make these runs. When winning the ball back over here, what Barcelona tried to do while counter-attacking was go straight. The guys would try to dribble themselves, but that is not the right way to counterattack. What they need to do is, if they win the ball over here, for example, you get the ball to this guy, and you pass it back here. And so, what happens is that sucks the opposing team to, converge in on the player, and then this player can actually make that second pass. And that is a much better counterattack than, just trying to go straight out, because it's always going to be blocked if you try to go straight out, because these players are going to be chasing you, and then these players are going to be converging. So that doesn't really work out, and every time Barcelona tried to counterattack, it never really worked out, because they didn't have a counterattacking strategy. They've never been a counterattacking team. So what Hansi Flick needs to do is go through those counter-attacking skills where the ball is, moving around before it goes long. That has to be done really fast. So it has to be a coordinated effort. It has to be muscle memory. For Real Betis' goal, what happened was that Vitor Roque won the ball. He moved really fast with it. Frankie De Jong had just come on in the 60th minute, and around the 63rd minute this happened. And De Jong, because he had those fresh legs, he chased him really hard. It wasn't really a fault of De Jong, but so when Vitor Roque got the ball in the box, De Jong nudged him slightly. So the nudging wasn't a foul. It's just that he accidentally stepped on his foot, so it was sort of like a touch. But if you touch a Brazilian's foot and he's in the box, there is no way he's not going to go down. They went back to the ref, to the VAR. The ref didn't initially call it, but then when you look at the VAR, and if even there's a slight touch of the foot, that's always going to be a penalty. So not really De Jong's fault. He was running, he was doing a good job. If that foot hadn't touched, very unlucky over there. At the start of the second half, Real Betis had a lot of chances, and just like the start of the game, they were overpowering Barcelona. That shouldn't have happened, but it did. But then obviously, again, the legs started giving, and Barcelona did have some better chances and more control of the game. So when that penalty happened, Hansi Flick, obviously protested, and he got a red card and got sent off. Once Ferran Torres was on, Lamine made some really good passes, and one of the passes, it was just Ferran Torres versus the goalkeeper, and he shot it wide. Lamine really didn't like it. He didn't understand that. How could you actually miss the shot? But then Barcelona's second goal came from a brilliant move. Koundé over here, and Lamine moved in over here, and he made this no-look sort of pass right between every player, and Ferran Torres, who was offside initially, had come back, and then he moved, and both these guys made that run, got the ball, easy goal. So there was a pretty good link up over here. If you look at Real Betis' second goal again, Barcelona didn't see that pass coming. It happened in the last game against Las Palmas as well, when Barcelona are not anticipating that really quick pass, they don't have enough time to set up that offside trap. So if they had set up that offside trap, this wouldn't have been a goal. But because they didn't, this player over here, he just made that move. Inigo Martinez was already behind him, so obviously he wasn't offside, and that one touch go right through the legs. Barcelona have to be wary of that situation, that if they're playing this offside trap game, which they do in every match, that's part of their core game now. What they have to do is they have to always be in a position where they are setting up that offside trap, even if the pass is not anticipated, because it's happened in 2 matches now that Barcelona have conceded a goal because they just weren't paying attention.